Welcome to another episode of the Movie Brothers. I'm Ant, and this is Kev.
What's up?
We see you came back for another one. We
Back
appreciate
for more
that.
punishment.
Right.
And I am psyched. This is the time of year when studios release their heavy hitters for Oscar consideration come March. They leave no bullets left in the gun at this point. All the heavy hitters, we're going to start seeing them at this time of year. So if you are a movie buff like we are, you're in heaven right about now.
I can't wait, man. So with that said, how about we review some movies?
Let's do it.
All right, so first up we have for you is Gravity, which is rated PG-13, has a runtime of 1 hour and 31 minutes. It's a drama sci-fi flick. It's starring Sandra Bullock, who plays an astronaut who has to determine if she has the right stuff to survive after an accident leaves her abandoned in outer space.
Really? The right stuff, Ant.
You wrote it?
No, I didn't write it.
Actually, I did it right there.
Yeah, you wrote that one. You wrote that one. You got that one from the Pond Warehouse, I think. Gravity is directed by Alfonso Cuarón. You may know his fine work from Children of Men, or if you are a Harry Potter fan, perhaps Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is one of the better films in the Harry Potter series.
Yeah. It's starring Sandra Bullock, as I mentioned earlier, also George Clooney, and then we have Ed Harris, who does the voiceover for Mission Control.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at the trailer.
Beautiful, don't you think?
What?
The sunrise. Terrific.
Houston, Dr. Stone is off structure. Listen to my voice. You need to focus. I'm losing visual of you.
I'm spinning! I can't breathe!
Grab a hole. Grab anything.
What do I do? What do I do?
Man, Kev, y'all, I have been to outer space after seeing this movie, and I didn't have to smoke anything to do it.
You know what? I gotta agree with you about the fact that I felt like I was there. Alfonso Cuarón does a masterful job of making us feel that we are actually there. You are spacewalking along with the actors and the characters in this movie.
Yeah, and I thought I would never say this, but in this particular case, you have to see this movie in 3D, the full XD experience. It just adds to that, that feeling of actually being there.
Absolutely. Many of the astronauts that I have heard and read about complain about and nitpick about some of the things that go on in this film. Some of them say that if you're out in space, the sun is not yellow. Okay, the sun is white. Some of them say that the orbit that all of the space stations and the space shuttle would be on would not be the same orbit, so they wouldn't be in danger of actually hitting one another. Who cares?
So what you're telling me is they even have haters in outer space.
Absolutely. Hatred extends that far, okay? So the bottom line is that I don't care about that.
And I don't
Did it
either.
bother you?
Absolutely not.
Okay, and it obviously didn't bother the director. He decided that he was going to make his movie the way he wanted to make it, and we're the better off for it.
Yeah, for sure. So we have Sandra Bullock and George Clooney in this movie, and I have to admit, y'all, I'm not a big fan of Sandra Bullock, but she blew me away in this movie. She gave an A1 top-notch performance. A lot of the times in this film, she's in this, huge space suit, and we can really only see her head, and so it's tight frames on her face, and she has to give us all of these ranges of emotion just in that shot. So, big kudos to Sandra Bullock in this movie. George Clooney did his thing and everything, and he was cool, calm, and collective, and I didn't know you could Mac in space, man, but I guess you can.
Apparently, macking has no boundaries, okay?
Right.
I agree with you 100%. Sandra Bullock was outstanding in this film. She's in it, I'd say 90% of the time by herself, carrying the film on her own, which I didn't think she was even capable of doing. But she does it with aplomb. She is outstanding in this film. And it's aided very much so by Stephen Price's score, his musical score. Because, you know, in the best of movies, the music helps to draw you in and place you right there, you know, in the situation as well. And I felt like the score to this film really does add to the overall ambiance of the film.
It's interesting that you say that about the score because I didn't hear anything. But on the flip side, I am very visual, and I was so drawn in by those, just the effects, the special effects and everything that, you know, that's where I was.
Right.
But in this film, there's lots of metaphors, just from beginning to end, you know, that touch on just being born again or a rebirth experience. And so be on the lookout for that when you're watching this film. Excellent, you know, item for just having great conversation post
Absolutely.
film.
Absolutely. Your date, when you leave this film, you will have a lot to talk about because the bottom line is that Sandra Bullock's character, she goes through so many trials and tribulations throughout the course of this film. There's a lot of background on her character that we're not going to spoil for you. But the bottom line is that she goes through and she experiences conception in space. She is conceived anew in space. We see her in the actual birth canal in space. We see her rebirth in space, coming back. I mean, it is really a phenomenal piece of writing, and the imagery is just top notch. You really can't ask for a better movie-going experience, honestly.
No doubt, no doubt. So Kev, I only had one con, small, but I did have one con.
You wouldn't be Ant if you didn't have a con. So go ahead.
So, you know, there was a spot in the movie where there was a lull, and again, you know, because everything was so real and we're in outer space and we're floating around, it was so peaceful, I kind of dozed in the movie. My daughter had to tap me on the knee, man, but, you know, so that was the only little con that I had.
Right.
And, but, you know, overall the movie is good. With that said, Kev, you want to throw some points on this?
Let's throw some points on it.
All right.
I personally felt like this was an outstanding job by Alfonso Cuarón and his whole staff, his whole crew. Sandra Bullock was outstanding, and she's not typically an outstanding actress for me. I give this movie a solid 9.
Yeah. For me, you know, blown away by the special effects. You definitely need to check this out. Check this movie out. Some of Sandra Bullock's best work. I give this a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. All right, so there you have it.
All right, that's our show for you. I'm Ant. This is Kev.
What up?
We are the Movie Brothers, bringing you nothing but the real on the real. Peace.
Peace.
Lead